funny. Um, I mean, if you Welcome to the off-season edition of X's and Omar. This is one of my favorite editions because it's a draft special edition where we talk about the bounty of new players and youngsters in the Dolphins arsenal. The Dolphins walked into this draft with 7 selections, walked out of it with 6 players, and that includes Josh Rosen. I am Sun Sentinel, Dolphins beat reporter, columnist, whatever. This is Dave Hyde.
We have trouble defining ourselves sometimes, don't we?
No, we know who you are. You are the Sun Sentinel columnist. I have trouble defining myself. I have trouble actually wearing a jacket. I picked up my wife's jacket thinking
That
it was
my
mine.
line. I was going to get to make fun of you. You beat me to it.
I'm always about putting it out there about myself first. I was struggling to figure out why my shoulders wouldn't fit in. I was like, damn, did I have a good workout
You have a
week
chip
last
on
week?
your shoulder, Omar. That's what you were thinking,
I
right?
live with a chip on my shoulder, Dave. Right now, we are going to assess what the Dolphins achieved exiting free agency. We all know they didn't have an active free agency. Eric Rowe, Dwayne Allen, Chris Reed were the only real additions that they made, and they made a lot of
Subtractions.
a lot of subtractions. But The draft was where they were going to begin to start to replenish this team. And Miami selected in the first round Clemson defensive tackle Chris Wilkins, and he'll likely be competing with a starting spot for a starting spot. I think he's a player that can play on all three spots on a line, 5 technique, 3 technique, 1 technique. He fits the whole mold in terms of what he can do as a defensive tackle. I think he's going to pair well with Akeem Spence and Vincent Taylor and Davin Godchow. Then in the second day of the draft, that's when it gets sexy, Dave Hyde. The Dolphins drafted, basically they drafted Michael Dieter in the 3rd round. That's an offensive lineman. He's probably going to be a left guard. He's played on all 3 spots from the left side of the line: center, left guard, left tackle. I think he's better as a left guard. The spot
He's the answer. Look, the Jets got Quinnen Williams. The Bills got Ed Oliver. The Dolphins need to answer somewhere in there with some help on the interior of the line, right?
But now we get to the most important element of this draft.
Omar's winding himself up for this.
He's
wound up for this.
The sexy element of this draft. The Dolphins traded their 42nd selection.
48th to 62nd.
48th, 62nd. Moved down in the draft with old buddy Jeff Ireland hooking you up. Got a 2nd-round pick in 2020. Had to give up your 4th-round selection, but you got a 2nd-round pick in 2020. And Jeff Ireland said that was one of their major goals about the 2019 draft, to get a 1st or a 2nd rounder.
Chris Greer said that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was okay. So they
You're
did
like,
it.
Oh no, okay.
They did it.
Hold on, wait a minute. You went into this year's draft with the goal of getting a 1st or 2nd
Well, why
round?
would that be? Why would that be? What's the thinking there?
The thinking is we need a lot of assets.
The thinking is we want some versatility to move up in the draft next year, just in case somehow we don't have the worst record in the league and we need a quarterback. They needed some. I thought trading Xavier Howard, they might have to do that coming into this offseason, just because they need some chips for the 2020 draft.
But they did use one of their chips. Probably what I felt was 2nd rounder was the most valuable chip to acquire a quarterback that was taken in the top 10 selections of last year's draft. Josh Rosen.
Now you're coming onto my side, except for that mocking tone in your voice, Omar.
Come on down, the worst rookie quarterback in the NFL last year. Josh Rosen, who really had probably one of the worst rookie seasons, probably since I looked it up in terms of where was he in the John Beck scale of bad rookie quarterbacks.
Well, what are you basing that on? When you say bad, are you rating?
Yeah,
okay,
but not just rating.
Josh Allen had a 67.9,
Yeah.
and Josh Rosen was 66. So, I mean, that's comparable.
Another quarterback I'm not a fan of. Here's the thing about the whole Josh Rosen acquisition. I put it in the realm of you're in a club. You're out there to hunt.
You always do that. What is it, you and these going out and
That's what I do, Dave.
What
That's
is
what I
it?
do.
You're married. That's not what you do.
But it's a former life here. You're in the club. It's 11 o'clock. You see Josh Allen. Attractive, but it's a little early. You're not interested right now. It's 1:45, Dave. Club closes at 2. All of a sudden, you got to go get Josh Rosen's number. You got to put the full court press. You buy him a drink. Now, all of a sudden, you're interested? I don't get it.
What don't you get? I don't understand. I get the analogy, but I don't understand what you're saying.
You weren't attracted to him last year. You didn't like him in the draft.
Wait. You don't know that Chris Greer didn't like him.
They wouldn't have selected him at 11.
You're right. Now I've talked to people inside there, okay? And here's the story. There were 3 people: Chris Greer, Mike Tannenbaum, and Adam Gase.
Okay.
They all agreed on Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
They all loved Baker Mayfield. They could not come to a consensus on the other 3. Some liked him, some liked Sam Darnold, some didn't. Some liked Baker Mayfield, same with Josh Rosen. Now, what if Chris Greer, he must have liked him, otherwise he wouldn't have traded for him, right?
He had to.
And not only he had to like him, Chad O'Shea must have liked him too, right?
I think we
look, there's a lot of people. Jim Caldwell would have done work on him. They got a lot of minds in there. There must have been a consensus. If it's not worth the 10th pick overall, it's worth the 62nd pick overall. That has to be the thinking.
I look at it like this. he was better than any of the second-tier quarterbacks in this draft, which was all that would have been available to them in the second round. And I will agree to that. He is better than a lot of the second-tier quarterbacks. I would rather have had him than Drew Lock. I would rather have had him than Will Grier, especially since he's had 1 year of NFL experience. But I've gone through that film. There are things about him that I like based on his rookie season. There are things about him that I don't like based on his rookie season.
But you would say that about every rookie, right?
That is true.
Now,
I will say that about
the
every
legitimate
rookie.
second guess here is if Dwayne Haskins is a star
Oh,
or
yeah.
Drew Lock is a star and Josh Rosen isn't, okay, then this goes into the file of
Draft
chapter
blunders.
and verse of the last 20 years, okay? Now, the out this year is this is a one-year tryout. If it doesn't pan out, we know where they're going to be drafted next year.
Hey, he delivered Arizona the #1 pick last year's draft, so he could possibly deliver Miami to a tag.
You're putting all that on Josh Rosen in Arizona last year. You're really overselling what he did.
Okay,
there.
no. His play wasn't good. Let's begin there.
Of course it
The
wasn't right.
bulk of his passes were checkdowns to David Johnson and quick, easy passes to Larry
Now,
Fitzgerald.
why was that?
Because they really didn't have that great of protection. And he
They
was a
had
rookie
no
quarterback.
protection. No protection.
You know what? I watched some of those games, and yeah, there were probably 3 or 4 plays where he just has absolutely no time to work. How many plays would you say Ryan Tannehill doesn't have any time to work?
See, this is where you're going off the rails here. You're saying we're making excuses for Josh Rosen
You
as
are.
a rookie.
You are.
As a rookie.
You are.
That we made for Ryan Tannehill over 7 years.
Correct.
There's a huge difference there.
No. It is about the sample size. Right now, who's a better quarterback? Ryan Tannehill, Josh Rosen.
Well, Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
I certainly
so
would hope.
you dumped Tannehill
But
and
wait,
are
wait,
now
wait,
selling
wait.
the upside
Wait.
of an inferior quarterback. Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm not. I'm selling the upside of potential here.
Okay.
Okay,
hope.
the
You're selling
ceiling.
hope.
What else do you?
And-
Anytime the whole draft is hope, right?
That's
so you're
the
mocking.
only reason
You're
you
mocking.
like this draft, because it sells hope and it gives you something interesting to write about and cover for the next 56 weeks.
Well, I have to admit, it does give something to write about.
I mean-
Because how else were we going to cover this team? And seriously, if they have 37-year-old Ryan Fitzpatrick and they got nothing, what are we writing about?
we aren't writing.
I
about
do
anything.
agree with that.
I know how Dave Hyde works. It makes the season interesting, and I am intrigued about Josh Rosen and learning his personality. I will say this. I'm not a fan of Josh Rosen. Wasn't a fan of him in last year's draft. Not a fan of the trade, but I'm open to seeing where and wasn't a fan of him in his rookie season.
He might not be a fan of yours either,
I'm
Omar.
sure he's not. Which quarterback is Dave?
I don't know. But here's my point. Okay, so you're not a fan of him. For the last 20 years, I've been sitting there saying, invest in a quarterback until you have one. For the last 7 years with Ryan Tannehill, 4 years before that with Chad Henne, they just kept writing them and writing them. Finally, you have a GM in Chris Grier who said, okay, we're going to roll the dice a little. Okay, and we're going to roll it smartly with the 62nd pick for a guy valued in the top 10. Now, maybe he makes it, maybe not. But that's a gamble I'm worth taking, especially knowing, look, if it doesn't work out, next year we're going to do it again. And we're going to keep taking a quarterback until we got one.
That's fair. Here, to me, the Josh Rosen trade has to be broken down in 3 different components. One, the trade. You gave up a 2nd and a 5th round pick in a bad draft. I'm not going to deny that it's a bad draft. I've looked over.
Let's remember the third from the 3rd round.
Okay,
60. It wasn't like
was it a 2nd or was it not a 2nd?
Okay, but there are. If Arizona's drafting 32nd, that's different than drafting 62nd with a 2nd round pick.
Okay, that's fair. And I like collectively overall what they had done. If they had gone out and they had gotten McCoy from Tampa Bay and Gerald McCoy and picked up a 2020 pick, I'd have been like, okay, great move, great job. Problem is, I don't like the quarterback. And I'm not going to like the quarterback until he shows me that all the things he makes late throws. Big problem in the NFL. He's got pocket presence, but he just makes some boneheaded plays that you're like, yeah, they could be rookie quarterback mistakes, but then when you remember, you saw them at UCLA too.
I didn't see him. So.
Yeah. And then we got the personality. I don't know what the personality is, and I'm going to put him in the Reggie Bush category of this whole situation. The perception on Reggie Bush was completely different than what reality was. And when we got Reggie Bush, the Kardashians and Superstar and all this stuff, and when he got traded to Miami, he was nothing like the national
He was the guy who
perception.
stayed after practice and worked. And
Good leader in the locker room, challenged his own teammates for not working hard enough, for not being, he was the epitome of everything that I want in a player and a person and a leader. Now, hopefully Josh Rosen is that. There's this whole entitlement thing about him. He is the poster boy for the millennial
Where does this narrative starts? Okay, he had a couple quotes, right? He had a hot tub as dorm freshman, and he gets pictured in Sports Illustrated with a woman or two in the hot tub with him. Okay, never a good look for few. If you're a college kid, it's one thing. If you're trying to lead a franchise and say you're mature, it's a whole different look.
Coming out in the draft and you're saying, 9 teams are gonna pay for this. And here's the thing. I will agree with this, and he said this either in the Sports Illustrated article that he did, obviously that's his talking mouthpiece, or in the press conference he had with the Dolphins media. I've never faced adversity. This is, everything has been pretty perfect in my life.
Oh, he didn't say that. What he said was he had teammates who were sleeping in the training facility because that's what they had. Okay, and they didn't.
That's in college. I'm talking about.
No, in college.
Yes.
But I mean, he's faced adversity on a football field, but in life. I remember talking to Trace Armstrong. Trace Armstrong, one of the great Dolphins, real fascinating guy. Now is super agent. Similar situation, and he used to talk about the other guys having the advantages of disadvantages as a football player. They could go someplace. They needed football in a way that he was a privileged kid. He wasn't playing for money per se. He wasn't playing to get, to build a life for himself, to survive. And I think that's where Rosen's coming from. He just, as a kid, as he just hasn't been able to verbalize it as much, and he probably talked a little too much than he should have.
And I like the way he talked. I like the way he's polished right now because he has
he's
to
more
be.
polished.
He's more polished, and of course he knows the scrutiny about him. I mean, 31 teams basically said no thanks.
Look what he's done. After the trade, he came out with a nice video, very smart, very. You don't like that?
No, I don't like that.
You don't like that? Why don't you like that?
It's packaging. It's.
Well, what do you think any of this is?
It's all.
What do you think? Okay,
yes.
the entitled packaging, the Steve Smith rant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's packaging. Why not package it smartly?
You're right, and that's what I don't like packaged people. I just don't. And it is. I realize the people that I talk to are along the same lines as me. Most of them come from adverse situations and had to do things to survive. And we don't like the entitled people, the people who want things handed to them, the people who want to be guaranteed. And that to me
well,
is
we don't know that he wanted that, right?
He forced his way out of Arizona. Let's not pretend like he didn't. They knew we can't keep him here because he is going to be toxic.
Wait a second. You're thinking he's the reason why he's out of Arizona.
Because he definitely had to be out of Arizona.
But why? Why?
Because he would have.
It would have been a bad situation for Kyler Murray.
For Arizona.
Yes.
Yes. So, but why would it have been a bad situation? Can't two quarterbacks and taken in the first round compete?
Tell me where it's happened.
I can't.
Okay, because it never happens. And why doesn't it ever happen?
Because they have to be treated like they're entitled. They have to be gifted, and that's my thing with this whole Josh Rosen situation. He better begin his tenure with the Miami Dolphins as the number 2 and have to work his way up because that's the only way his teammates will ever respect him.
Well, that's a rigged race,
I
right?
know it's rigged.
But you want to, who is all about genuineness and everything. You want to have he's going to be number 2 when you know that's not the case. You know what I'd say? You're number 1, and you better hold on to it because if you come up and you screw this up, you're going to ruin this is your chance. This is your last chance to be on top. He knows he's going to start.
Next year he could be traded to another team that wants to dump.
No.
Oh,
how many teams?
He forced his way off one.
We just went through that. He didn't force. How did he force his way off?
Did you read the Sports Illustrated
No.
article?
Just talk common sense. If Arizona had drafted,
why do you have to move him? You've paid $10 million for him.
Because you're bringing in Kyler Murray as you're the man.
Okay.
And we just went. How many teams?
Where's your contingency plan?
How many teams have two number one top 10 quarterbacks competing? Give me another example.
The Dolphins
give me
will
another
next year.
example.
Hopefully the Dolphins will next year.
Give me an example. You're
can't
saying
think
he
of it.
forced.
Okay, no, it wasn't top 10.
It never happens.
Why?
I don't. You tell me. But that isn't Josh Rosen forcing him. So that's the Cardinals saying we got to move him.
Soft mentality.
Look, the Cardinals screwed up that whole draft. Why they didn't
they
trade him?
hosed Miami on a trade. I think they did all right. Nobody else wanted him in the league. The Dolphins are the only team, and you feel like you have to move him, and you give up a second and a fifth.
They hosed Miami.
They did. Fleeced them.
The team that could have had 4 teams going for Josh Rosen a month ago before the draft waited till all these other teams took their quarterbacks and said, "Oh, he's on the market,"
and still gave up a second and a fifth. But coming into the draft, everybody was talking about a third-round pick for Josh Rosen. Okay, that's fair value. Nobody else.
Who's everybody?
Peter King.
Who's everybody?
Peter King.
Oh, and Peter King come out saying this is a great trade for the Dolphins.
It is a great trade for the Dolphins because nobody cares about Dolphins. They just want them to be relevant. I want them to have.
You just said they got hosed. Now it's a great trade. Which one?
No, I'm saying why he said it's a great trade. I don't think it's a great trade. We'll be back here in a year talking about.
We could be.
We will be.
We could be.
We will be. And it'll be a wasted second-round pick, and then we're here with Josh Rosen, who's the next generation's John Beck.
So you, for the last 5 years, have been saying the Dolphins need to get a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so
I didn't want that one last year. Why would I want him now this year?
Well, who did you want? You want to just wait till next year? And what happens if Tua gets hurt? What happens if the other quarterbacks break down? This is a
contingency
very smart. You just keep getting a chance at quarterback till you hit on one.
I could hear you. I understand it. If the player comes out and he plays well, then bravo to you. If he comes out and he plays like I expect him to play,
doesn't matter. It's a good idea regardless.
It's just keep trying, huh?
Absolutely.
All right.
That's where I'm at. I've been looking 20 years for a quarterback.
Well, let's get to the first question from this segment. Okay. Do you think Rosen can beat out Fitzpatrick to be the starting quarterback week 1?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
What?
I mean, we can set up scenarios where Josh Rosen just is completely awful. And yeah, I guess
he doesn't have to be awful.
He has to be awful.
Think about it. In 2012,
you don't trade for Josh Rosen and say, "Oh, we're not going to start him." You have 1 year to measure what he is. Now, if he's completely awful, yeah,
it's not about being completely awful. Ryan Tannehill wasn't completely awful, but he damn sure wasn't David Garrard.
Well, Garrard got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Garrard got hurt.
Okay.
But if Garrard hadn't gotten hurt, I have no doubt in my mind he wouldn't have been the starting quarterback.
Maybe not, but we don't know. We don't know. I would agree by the end of the first month he wouldn't have been the starting quarterback.
Yeah, probably first 6 games.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Ryan Fitzpatrick has probably forgotten more football than Josh Rosen knows. Now, he probably can't do it athletically anymore, but hey, ride that train till the wheels fall off. And maybe Josh Rosen will learn something.
He's 37. There might
36.
not be wheels.
Don't age him.
He's turned 37 this season.
Yes, he
does.
does.
So there might not be wheels on him anymore. But here's the point. The Dolphins have set up a nice quarterback room now for Josh Rosen.
Yes.
He has an old guy
a smart
and a guy who's willing, he gets it. He gets it.
Absolutely.
So it's a good situation for Josh Rosen. Okay, Benjamin Cooper asks, do you think Christian Wilkins can be a dynamic player talent in a year or two?
I wouldn't put dynamic on it. I think a solid core player. I looked at him in the Clemson defensive line. He was the glue guy. I loved Farrell, their pass rusher, but I knew that watching the film, Wilkins was the guy doing the heavy lifting for everybody else. He took on, two big heavy weights on his shoulders to free up everybody else to do their job. And I can respect that. It's kind of like the Tim Bowens that Dolphins, that Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor Dolphins era. Nobody will give Tim Bowens the respect that he deserves.
Like Ndamukong Suh?
No, different player. Nobody will give Tim Bowens the respect he deserves.
I'm just trying to get you wound up again.
I think Ndamukong Suh would be a good fit here. I think he fits what they're trying to do. Now, not necessarily locker room fit or culture fit.
He doesn't fit.
But I think Wilkins will be a good player. I'm not going to put dynamic on him. He's not in the Sue, Gerald McCoy type mold of a player. Our next question comes from P.S. Phibbs. I don't even know how to say his name. What can we learn about GM Chris Greer's draft philosophy from what we learned in this draft? How is it better or worse than previous regimes?
Well, we know first of all, I got my phone ringing here.
I told you to put it on silent, Dave.
We know first of all, okay, he's going to go after a quarterback. Okay, that is priority. Even everybody was thinking, oh, he's going to wait till 2020. So that was a little bit of a surprise that they went out, and I like it. Now the larger thing is, to me, you saw a 2-year plan here come into play. Okay, and that is a great benefit in a year in a league where the motto is win today, develop tomorrow. Okay, they're not trying to win today. Okay, he's got a 2-year window. Really, and if you know you have a 2-year window, you could set up the drafts accordingly. And he got 12 picks for 2020.
What I like about what he's doing is he gets back to the Bill Parcells, Jeff Ireland mold. Big school players.
Because that works so well.
Didn't have a quarterback. Still don't, but didn't have a quarterback. It works. The model works.
It works.
Jacksonville was built on that model. The Giants, when they were Super Bowl contenders, were built on that model.
That was early 90s.
Football does not age, Dave Hyde. Football does not age. Everything comes back.
Well, they did get a fullback, too. So
hey!
That's a Patriots way, too, right?
Stop with all this Patriots talk. Patriots are on the Bill Belichick model, or on the Bill Parcells model. The bigger is better model works, Dave. Trenches. Win the trenches.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. Philadelphia won because of their defensive line. Okay, the Rams and the Patriots. You saw the physical matchup.
The Patriots are back to being a physical, pound you in the face team.
They've always been able to do that.
They've always been able to be interchangeable.
That's the amazing thing about the Patriots. They can go whichever way a game goes.
They can morph into anything, which is what the Dolphins are trying to build. I respect it. I see it. I get it. I personally believe the Patriots stuff only works because they got Tom Brady. But, we shall see. Let us get to some of the second-guess specials we have about this draft. My biggest concern entering the draft was that Miami had some concerns about Josh Rosen's character and still went into that situation. But what changed in your opinion?
Well, 2 things changed. One, the cost of the pick. Okay, you're picking a guy 10th overall. That's a whole different scenario than picking him 62nd. Okay, and the second thing, we know the makeup inside the Dolphins changed too. I alluded to it earlier. Adam Gase isn't there. Maybe some of the questions on Josh Rosen went out the door with him. Maybe Greer always was a backer of him. But. So those are 2 possibilities that changed.
To me, I think.
And the situation changed. The Dolphins have a scenario now where they're not trying to win.
Well, don't tell them that.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Winning isn't the priority right now. Finding answers.
Don't tell them that.
I will tell them. They know that. Look what they've done.
Yeah.
Winning isn't the priority. Developing and finding talent is the priority.
I think a lot of this has to do with Jim Caldwell. He and Chad O'Shea, the offensive coordinator. Caldwell is the quarterback coach. Chad O'Shea is the offensive coordinator. They had to like Rosen. They have to, because if Chris Greer is lukewarm on him last year, you can't go from lukewarm to, he's got to be my guy. And here's the most troubling part about this whole Josh Rosen to narrative discussion.
That's a good thing. That's not troubling.
No.
The inside.
That's positive.
Okay.
That's positive.
All right, okay.
But here's the troubling thing. People started trying to sell Josh Rosen to Miami on, the Patriots liked him. The Patriots liked him in the draft last year. The Patriots liked him.
I didn't hear that. Did you hear that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Patriots liked him. Chad O'Shea liked him. Patriots liked him. Brian Flores respects the Patriots. They liked him. They had him high on their draft board. The The Patriots didn't talk to Josh Rosen in the draft process.
Yeah, I mean, the mystery, there is a mystery to me in this, in that the Patriots really need a quarterback, right? They need a successor to Tom Brady. This would be the perfect model for them. And they had 12 draft picks. So there were some reports out that they did try to trade for him, but they weren't offering a 62nd pick. Okay, now we don't know.
Somebody had to be in the bidding. For you to give up a second and a fifth when nobody else is bidding, we don't know who is in the bidding. Maybe Chris Greer will reveal that in private sometime later in the line, if it works. But somebody, for you to give up a second and a fifth for Josh Rosen, who nobody else wants, like clearly somebody else had to be in the bidding.
I was told before the draft, the Patriots and the Chargers are the two teams that are interested in Rosen, and the Dolphins are interested in Rosen, and neither of those names surfaced nationally during draft day.
I would think, I would certainly think going back to LA. I mean, this could be a lot of what people don't understand is during the draft, there are teams that talk, executives that talk to exchange information, and then agents talk trying to put out what they want to be out there into the narrative. And I think a lot of the Rosen talk was agent driven, in my opinion, and it was unhealthy, and it was about finding Josh Rosen a new desirable destination. And hey, no better place than the Miami Dolphins. All he's got to do is beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick. There were also factors about Miami's biggest need that weren't addressed, Dave Hyde. I went into this draft and I said, top two things you got to address. You got to get your pass rusher and you got to get your offensive tackle. Unless you plan on moving Jesse Davis to right tackle, you had to address those two needs. Now, they walked out of this draft without addressing those two needs properly.
Yeah, now in round one, they were looking at Jonah Williams,
yes,
and he went off the board to Cincinnati at 11. So that took out the debate of were they going to take Wilkins or Jonah Williams. So, yeah, they realized there's a problem at right tackle. Okay, now how they're going to fill that and address that, let's start. They had so many needs, they weren't going to fill them this draft.
They weren't.
Okay, but to your point, pass rusher there were a lot of pass rushers in this draft. Okay, and maybe the Wisconsin linebacker,
yes,
he brings some of the
Andrew
edge.
Van Ginkel.
Andrew Van Ginkel. I keep wanting to say Van Helsing, but you know.
And I think we'll get into him a little bit later, but I like that pick. I initially hated that pick.
You did. I remember sitting with you. And
I was like, this guy's projected to be a 7th round pick. Like, why are you taking him in the 5th? And then you watch the film. Ooh,
he makes some impact plays. Now he must not have made enough of them to go to the 3rd round, but. Anyways, we can get into that later. Mark wants to know, let's get on now. How do you address Andrew Van Ginkel fitting into the defensive scheme?
I think that based on what they did in this draft, I see more of a 3-4 scheme. Now, you're missing nose tackle. You're missing a 3-4 edge setter in terms of a Kendall Langford.
Where do you put Christian Wilkins in that? That's Yeah, that's my question, right? Yeah.
I think Vincent Taylor can do it. I'm a big Vincent Taylor fan, and I think he can do it. I think they're going to stack up the line with 300-pounders at defensive tackle, and then the edges are going to be these Charles Harris, Andrew Van Ginkel. And I like Van Ginkel because he kills it on twists and stunts. You pair him with Jerome Baker, and Jerome Baker's a coverage guy. Even Kiko Alonso is a coverage guy. Van Ginkel adds some versatility because what he did at Wisconsin is twists and stunts, and none of Miami's linebackers can do that and do that effectively. So I really do like that selection.
All right, Jason asks, with the extra picks obtained through the 2 trades, as well as acquiring Rosen, do you think we can get a pass rusher via trade, or does this basically put all the pressure on Charles Harris?
Charles Harris, come on down. And this goes into my second guest special about the Charles Harris draft. I said from the beginning, ain't gonna set the edge. And everybody in the Dolphins organization, he can set the edge. He can set the edge. Well, 2 years later, can't set the edge. But what Charles Harris is a freakish athlete. Athletic. I always thought he was going to be a good 3-4 outside linebacker. You could teach him these twists and stunts that Van Ginkel is good at, and you might have something there. You really might have something there.
You might as well try that because He had 1 sack last year. That's he needs a new system.
He needs
a new start.
There's nobody in this organization, that, in my opinion, that will benefit from the change of defensive systems better than Charles Harris.
Yeah, and to that point, there are. I believe there are, especially in football, systems matter for players.
Systems matter.
And the example I always use, and I've talked to John Offerdahl about this, is he played in a 3-4, and he's a smallish, very athletic, and he was taking on 300-pound guards every play. And over 6 years, his body kept breaking down. And you look at Zach Thomas, similar idea of a linebacker, very athletic. He was playing behind 2 huge defensive tackles who would allow him the freedom, and so systems matter in football.
Absolutely, and I think that they're going to a scheme where these defensive tackles need to keep these linebackers clean. I've always wanted it for years, and hopefully this is going to be, man, who is this person? Let's hope it's not an emergency, Dave. Go ahead.
No. Okay, give it to me.
let it go.
All right. Okay, Omar, we know now what this rebuilt roster looks like heading into minicamp and training camp. The Dolphins have a few more roster spots to fill, but the 2019 team has been assembled. What are your overall thoughts on Brian Flores and Chris Greer's first team?
It is incomplete, Dave.
Yeah, it is. Very much so.
There are holes everywhere on this roster, even after the draft. There are confusing spots for me in terms of safety. You still got 2 strong safeties. What are you going to do with Minkah Fitzpatrick? What are you going to do with Charles Harris?
What are you going to do with Rashad Jones?
Oh, no, Rashad's here, baby. Rashad's here. You're not moving him. You can't move him. You can't cut him. Rashad's here. And you better make it.
Good luck.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with Rashad.
I know, it's a situation. You got 3 safeties again.
Yes.
And they're not all complementary.
Maybe some team suffers an injury in training camp and needs a safety, and you can finally move him or TJ. I think they can all work together. Me personally, and I've said this, and we'll get into this, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is a better cornerback. Now, that doesn't help you with free safety, but I think he's a better cornerback.
Well, what you look at, again, what the Patriots do with Patrick Chung, they move him back and forth. That's their versatility. That's an X factor their defense has. You can see that's what they want to do with Minkah Fitzpatrick.
They definitely want to be a versatile team, but also you got holes on offense. What I liked about Josh Rosen, and we'll get into the things I liked about Josh Rosen, he can utilize tight ends. And as we know, if these guys are coming from the Patriots, they plan to utilize tight ends. And Josh Rosen loves throwing into the middle of the field. That's where one area that Ryan Tannehill would not go.
Does he have a tight end to utilize?
That's a really good question.
Here's the question. Do they have more holes or more answers?
Oh, definitely more holes. No question, more holes. Yeah. And this is a roster, it's like you're just throwing it out there and you're like, let's see. Let's see what they do. But I will say this. I think that there are still some very good free agents that are out there and available, and that the Dolphins could address and help themselves with a lot of players. Particularly, there's a former Patriots defensive line pass rusher, Jamie Collins, perfect fit in this system. Alan Bailey, former starter for the Kansas City Chiefs, perfect fit in the system. Hell, you need another cornerback, go get Sam Shields, perfect fit into the system.
And you know what? The perfect fit also is, will they sign 1-year contracts?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Perfect fit.
At this point, Ryan Schrader, the offensive starting right tackle for the Atlanta Falcons who got cut, he's still out there. This is the time, and the Dolphins plan to sign guys after May 9th when it doesn't factor into their compensatory picks, because we all know what's important is about the 2019 draft. Those are like in Lord of the Rings, where the precious, it's like, oh, my precious compensatory picks.
They're really going hard. All right, Richard has a question. Does not selecting a cornerback signal that Minkah Fitzpatrick will primarily play that position this season?
No, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be used as a Swiss Army knife, a chess piece, a very important cog that helps you confuse teams. And I think I like Minkah best as a nickel cornerback. That's where I like him best. You watch his film as a nickel cornerback, you see elite. You watch his film as a boundary cornerback, he's all right. You watch his film as a safety, he's all right. You watch his film as a nickel cornerback, he's elite. That's what I want him to do. The problem is you already got a nickel cornerback in Bobby McCain. So it's if they talk the game, if they actually execute the game that they talk a good game of, which is putting players in position to have their most success.
Well, they're not in position to do that yet, are they? I don't think they have enough.
They got Eric
pieces.
Rowe. They got Bobby McCain to go to the boundary.
If Eric Rowe can stay healthy and play the way that evidently did for a while with the Patriots because he was given a starting job.
If you watch what the Patriots do, and I've studied them for God knows for 11 years, what they do is they use a weapon to take away your best thing. And if you, let's say you're playing the Patriots.
Who gets taken away by the Dolphins this year?
Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake. Okay. Let's say you're the Patriots. Let's say you're playing the Patriots in the season opener. Yeah, I'm putting Minka on Edelman. It's not going to be Bobby. It's not going to be Xavier Howard. It's going to be Minka on Edelman, and I work from there. And that's where I think Minka is going to be the piece where you say, number one, okay, what are we doing with Minka? Bam, this is what we're doing with Minka. Number two, how are we pressuring the quarterback?
And where are we putting Christian Wilkins? Eventually will be the question too, because if he gets to that point.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the idea. Okay, Omar, question or RLA 1999 has a good one. What would Josh Rosen need to do this year for the Dolphins to say they have found the QB of the future and forget about Tua or any other quarterback next draft?
Let's put a bar on it, Dave Hyde. I got 7 wins. You
Omar,
you do.
What are you, crazy? Come on. 7 wins?
Oh, yeah. You do what Ryan Tannehill
They are going to be favored in 1 game this year, and you think you're putting the bar at Josh Rosen at 7 wins?
Ouch.
You're putting that on him?
I think what Ryan Tannehill did in his rookie season is a fair bar.
He had a much better team around him, Omar.
I really got to chop that up. I'd really have to
we'll get back to you on that one.
I mean, come on, Ernest, Legadou Nene and Brian Hartline were his starting receivers. Let's not be so presumptuous that Ryan Tannehill had a better team than Josh Rosen had.
Well, you get back to me on that, okay? And I think you'll say you want a do-over. Yeah. 7 wins.
For us to get off the tank for Tua train, I need 7 wins. I'm drafting the quarterback number 1 no matter what because.
Well, this is going to be.
The question was, what will it take for us to get off the Tua train?
This brings up a real valid question for me is how are you going to grade Josh Rosen when he has little around him?
Wait. Little around him?
You just said there are more questions than answers on this roster.
Yeah, but he's missing a right tackle. Go get Ryan Schrader, you have a right tackle. Okay, injuries are going to happen, just like they happened to the to the Cardinals. So, fair. He's got 2 tight ends, one who's supposed to be good.
Wait a second. You said you don't know if any of the tight ends are good.
I mean, one is supposed to be
There's
good.
There's a lot of questions.
Wide receiver. I'm sorry. Albert Wilson. I'm not even going to include Devontae Parker. Kenny Stills.
There's 2.
Jakeem Grant. You throwing him on?
He has a role. He has a role.
I mean, hell, I got to even go with Devontae Parker. He was a former first-round pick.
Okay. And can they score 30 points a game?
Oh, hell no. Kenyon Drake. Come on. You're not giving me Kenyon Drake?
Yeah, no, I like Kenyon Drake. A lot of production there. There are some good pieces on offense. Pieces.
Make it work.
Okay.
I'm quoting Tim Gunn from top whatever show that is. Make it work. Take what you got. Make it work.
Okay, we'll see. But that becomes one of my issues. How I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to think about how you judge him. It won't be 7 wins though.
Let me put it to you like this: should he achieve more than Ryan Tannehill did his rookie season? Should he present stats
absolutely.
better than Ryan?
Because
it's his second year as a starter.
Look, some of it's like the Supreme Court justice's definition of pornography. I'll know it when I see it. I'll know Josh Rosen has met the bar when I see it, right? And it won't be wins or this stats or whatever. You'll know. It'll almost be a feel of okay. He's looking the part.
Okay, all right, that's fair. All right, final question comes from Richard Leonard. Do you think a trade for Rashad Jones or T.J. McDonald is still an option?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an option. Mm-hmm. I think they would like to, but I don't know how you trade Rashad Jones he has a shoulder injury. He's coming off a shoulder injury, 2 and 3 years.
Rashad's fine.
He has a big contract. He's what, 31?
He's making top 5 salary safety.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the problem I have with this whole narrative about the Rashad Jones conversation. Yeah, Rashad's not there with his teammates right now during OTAs. I'm sorry, he's a 9-year vet. He doesn't need to be. Like, calm down. He's a pro.
That's not the issue.
No, okay, no. The issue to you is, he's insubordinate to his former boobs and idiots of a coaching staff.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. A guy who quits on the team in the middle of a game, that's wrong. No matter what boobs are running the show.
If you believe that your boss is a boob, and
you say, I'm not going to work today. No, that's not right. You hash it out. And I think Adam Gase was wrong, and I think the defensive coordinator, just another guy who passed through town, Matt Burke, they were wrong. But I think so was Rashad Jones.
I'm not saying that he's not culpable for all whatever.
But here's the point. They've tossed everybody over with age and salary, and he would fit in that category.
Rashad's still a good player. Rashad is still a...
Well, so is Cameron Wake. He could fill a role.
That's true.
I mean, if you're saying who's going to be here in 2 years, basically that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he fits into the category
You still need good players to win a game. And right now, Rashad is arguably their 3rd best player on the team.
I don't disagree.
So if you keep jettisoning
and Cameron
good players,
Wake was maybe their 4th.
Yes.
Okay, so
and Jawan James was maybe their 5th.
Yeah, so
I get your point.
The point is, he does it 2 years from now. That's what they looked at. Who from either cost or age, position, whatever, isn't going to be here in 2 years. They just jettison those guys.
We'll see how it works. Right now, this is an incomplete team. Hopefully, they become a little bit more active. Maybe we should do an X's and Omar free agency show after May 9th.
We can redo the free agent show. We're the only market where May 9th has huge significance.
Oh, man. Once those compensatory picks are in the books, we're going to get active in free agency. I will say this. I have been keeping account of how many players I think are legitimate NFL players in terms of if they were cut tomorrow, teams would line up to go sign them. Going into the draft, there were 32. Exiting the draft, there's now 38. Like, you need 53.
How many people do they have signed on the team right now? They were at 50. They're in their 60s still.
Yeah.
Are they going to have 90 for camp?
Yeah, they gotta find 90. They gotta find 90. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Thank you for watching. Spirited debate. I don't know if we got anywhere on the Josh Rosen argument. I say the bar is Ryan Tannehill's rookie year, people. Have some standards about yourself. Thanks for watching.
Rookie year, boy. If he's not that good, I'm with you.